Raven flew over the water and wondered what he was going to eat next. It was very much like Raven to be thinking about what he was going to eat next. He had grown tired of fishing and decided it was time for something more interesting. He flew to Seal and cried, "Seal, do you not tire from swimming all the time? Wouldn't it be nice to lay on something solid and rest?" Seal agreed. "Try then," Raven continued, "to swim to the bottom of the sea and get some mud so that we can make land." Seal swam down and down and down, but before he could reach the bottom, he knew he would run out of air and turn back. He apologized to Raven, who understood. Next, Raven went to Muskrat. "Muskrat, would you try swimming to the bottom of the sea and bring some mud up? We are going to make some land." Muskrat too swam down as far as he could, but he was unable to make it even as far as Seal. He returned and apologized to Raven, who understood. He set across the sea, looking for the animal who could make it to the bottom of the sea and bring up some mud. It seemed as though it wasn't going to be possible, until Beaver dove swift, kicking with his great tail, down, down to the bottom of the sea. He scooped up the largest amount of mud he could manage and brought it to the surface. "Oh, how wonderful!" Raven exclaimed. Raven then asked Turtle if he would let the mud on his back to become the land. Without hesitation, Turtle agreed. As the island that Turtle became grew, Raven flew about creating plants, mountains, rivers, and streams. Seal rested on its beaches, and Muskrat and Beaver moved to its rivers and streams. One day, Raven was flying along the beach. There before him, he watched a strange pod wash upon the shore. It was quite large, much larger than Raven himself. He swooped down immediately to inspect it, and as he walked near to it, it broke and a strange creature unfolded out onto the sand. Raven stared with intense interest at this creature. It was a very odd creature and didn't look like anything he had ever seen before. Raven went closer as it began to move. The thing stretched this way and that, before standing up on very long legs. Looking around, the creature asked, "What am I doing here?" Raven was perplexed by this question. For as long as he could remember, all of the creatures knew what they were doing at this place. There was no need for question. But Raven was so enchanted by the creature, he decided to help it. "You are here to be," Raven said. "Be what?" the creature asked. "To be yourself," Raven replied. "Who am I?" the creature asked. Raven cocked his head to the side in soft amazement. The question of the creature held him in a muted grip of awe. No animal had ever thought of itself as a who before. They had always identified themselves as whats. Raven was not one to be mean, but he had to admit at being bored of most of the animals. They thought mostly of eating and of sleeping. Raven had many different thoughts, but no one to share them with, no one who was a who. "Well," Raven thought briefly, "you are a human." The creature, the human, seemed moderately impressed by this, but not overly. Raven knew this would not be good enough, and continued thinking. He wanted the human to understand his difference with the other animals. The fact that this was something more than a what, that it was a who, but how to let the human know this. Finally he said, "You are a human being. Human is your form. The part of you which looks the way it does and moves in the way it moves. It is the physical part of who you are, but it is not all of you. By asking who you were, you showed that you know you are more than your form, more than just the physical. This something more is the being. It is your beingness that makes you different, makes you special." The human being smiled. After a bit, the human being said the first important thing. "I am hungry." Well, Raven thought, it was bound to happen sooner or later, this being hungry. Raven showed the human being about berries, and the human being ate and ate. But Raven knew this would not do for very long. Something that is a being lacks variety, like Raven. So Raven went to the stream and created a couple of small lumps in the mud. As the human being looked on, Raven swept his ring over the mud lumps, and they came to life and scurried about. The human being became very excited. "Catch them, you can eat them," Raven said. And to that, the human being ran about, trying to catch the small creatures. He returned after some time to the stream, munching away on mice and shrews. But Raven could see that wouldn't even be enough. So, he made some larger lumps in the mud, and after sweeping his ring over them, kicked them into the water and they swam off. "Catch them, you can eat them as well," Raven said. And again, the human being ran about, splashing around the water this time. "No, no," beckoned Raven. "To catch these, you must be patient. The fish are faster than you in the water. But if you wait patiently, if you wait still, they will forget you are there, and you can catch them when they swim close." The human being thanked Raven, and after a while was munching on the fish. Before long, the human being said the second important thing. "I am cold." Raven thought for a moment and went back to the stream. In the mud, he made a very large lump. Raven went to a willow and took 4 of its long, skinny branches, sticking them into the mud. After waving his wing over it, the lump turned into a caribou, jumping onto its long legs and bounding off. To catch this, you must be fast and strong. You must be smart. While you are fast and strong, you are not fast and strong enough to catch the caribou on your own. You will need tools, and you must know how the caribou will move, so you know where it will be when your weapon reaches it. It will be much work, but you can catch it, and when you do, you can take its skin and keep yourself warm. The human being thanked Raven again, and after a while, he was warm. Before long, the human being said to Raven, "I am lonely." Raven was at first offended. Was he not interested in enough company? But Raven soon understood. The human did not have a companion as large as himself. Raven went again to the stream and made another lump. He would look at the human being, trying to make some resemblance. He was about to wave his wing over it, but knew this new human needed a beingness as well. He looked at the human being and noticed the twinkle in his eye. Aha, Raven thought. And he flew up into the sky and plucked one of the stars. He put the star into the new human's forehead and waved his wing over it. The new human being stood up and looked at the man. They looked at each other, noticing they were different. At first, Raven felt badly about not being able to make the new human being the same as the man. But the two human beings assured him this was okay. They liked the differences between them. With this, Raven had an idea. He made it so that the two had the power to create more of themselves. When the two humans were near each other, their beingness, the stars within them, grew stronger and brighter. Raven called this love. And when the love was strong enough, it made a new being. And this grew in the woman until it had a body of its own. The man and woman thanked Raven, and after a while, there was a large family. The family had no place to live, so Raven showed them how beaver and muskrat made houses. Soon there were dwellings in a small village. Raven made more caribou and fish. But before long, the human beings were taking more and more than they needed. He tried to talk to them, but they were unafraid. So Raven went back to the stream and made a very large lump of mud. He found shells and broke them into thin, sharp pieces, and put them on the lump in various places. He had made thick lumps for the legs, instead of just willow branches. The humans had come to see what Raven was making. But when Raven waved his wing over the lump, it jumped up, snarling, and ran after the humans. It caught one and killed it outright. When the bear left, the humans ran to the dead human and gathered around in awe and fear. Raven flew down and took the star from it, and as the humans cried, he flew the star back to the sky. He then came back to the humans and said, "You can be very happy. You can be as happy as you like, but you cannot forget that everything has the right to be happy as well. And besides, if you're not careful about how much you take, if you take more than you need, or make too many of yourselves, what is here will run out, and then you will all starve and die." The human being shook with fear. I do not say this to scare you. I say this so you will understand the way of things. If you live by this way, you will be very happy for as long as you want. When you are ready to die, I will take your stars as well and put them back into the sky. The human beings were comforted by this, and lived with more reverence of that which was around them. They soon began to make kayaks to hunt seals in the sea, and the women began to figure out how to use all different parts of the animals for making clothes. They made baskets from the summer grasses. They taught the men how to use parts of the animals for their boats, and they made clothes that wouldn't let water in. But before long, the human beings had forgotten about the way, because there was nothing to be feared in the sea, like the bear on land. Again, Raven went back to the stream, and this time made an even bigger lump. He found 2 willow stumps, using his beak to make them sharp, and only as long as the strongest part. He put these where the mouth would be. He waved his wing over the lump, and it lived. It lumbered into the sea. When the first human being found it, the walrus tore apart his kayak and stabbed him many times. When the body washed up on the shore, the other human beings gathered around it, and Raven took the human star back to the sky. "Remember the way," he said. Nothing more. To this day, all human beings know about Raven, and the way of the human beings. They revere Raven for all he did for the human beings. Everything he taught them, even when it meant hurting or scaring them. They always knew he was doing the best for them.